Hello and welcome back to another episode of League Talk, the podcast all about management, coaching, performance and all things League of Legends. My name is AJ and on today's podcast we have an assistant coach, a head coach, and I'm sure a lot more than just that. But we have Kiao, so welcome, thank you so much for your time. Why don't you give us a little introduction about you?
So I'm Kiao. I guess I'm a player, assistant coach, article writing, music making thing. I'm decent at everything, good at nothing.
Good way to start. So you were a player as well, I didn't realise.
I played on like just a team I made with Rowley. I don't know if you know who that is.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I made a team with Rowley ages ago for the first project champion. We did pretty shit. Then I played a bit in in Kawaii Kiwis in second division in Spain, subbed in Sector 1 for 1 week. But basically, I wasn't good enough to be in like a first division,
Sure.
but I was better than like second division, but not good enough to be in the first one. And then when I moved out to university, I didn't have my computer because I didn't actually have accommodation. So I just slept around my mate's house.
Oh my, that's awful. Holy crap.
So then I had to improvise and had to stay in esports without playing, and that's when I got a girlfriend, and then I just used her MacBook to coach.
There you go. So what was that transition like for you from player to coach? How did you find that?
It was easier than expected, probably because of the fact that even on a team like me and Rowley it was still like me and Rowley that were like in charge of it.
Sure.
And then I had Hansen to help me. So it was like Hansen basically made you feel like it wasn't like you're an assistant coach. It was like you're just like a second coach, you know, like he demanded the same respect from like players to me that they gave to him, essentially. So it was really easy.
Good. Okay, awesome. So before we get like way too off track, let's start sort of like day one in esports for you. So you said obviously you started off as a player, but take me through like your pathway, your journey to sort of where you are today, really.
So first time I ever played competitive was actually in Germany. This is what I mean that I've been about about the Euros. Was in Germany when they did the open tours. So my friend's team qualified, but then their support couldn't play. And then me and him duoed loads. So we played against SPG. We smashed bot lane, but our team was bad. Quite frankly. I mean, some of the players still play. Like, rest in peace, DFG was our mid laner. He plays. Sizer was our jungler. He played with Bulldogs, and then they got relegated. And then there was, I think it was Flawless Minds top. He was good, but he struggled, I think, with English. I'm not entirely sure with it. And then, so then I just played like in every ERL, but at a low level. And then, like I said, I began coaching through my girlfriend's laptop because I wanted to carry on being in the team, but I couldn't play. Then DBL, we disbanded as a team. Is all I'm going to say on that. Yeah. And then obviously I had to find a new home. That's when I joined Radiant. Well, before that I joined NSG and it was a mess and I left, but it doesn't matter. Joined Radiant. Started alright because the players wanted to improve, and then the longer it went, the less time or effort people had.
Sure. And
as a coach, I can't really do much with one scrim every 2 weeks.
Yeah.
So we ended just being like a middle of the pack team, which is pretty shit. And then when I thought the season was pretty crap, Freemy messaged me, hey, before I look for a coach, do you want to coach this team? Because I trialed for him, but I chose a different UKLC team, which then didn't end up signing me. But yeah, so I was like, yeah, of course, sure. And then joined Barrage.
The retirement home.
Yeah, and then we won the qualifiers.
Yeah, amazing.
So yeah, that's the rundown, really.
Sure. So it was Diabolus to Radiant to retirement home. I think the interesting thing to sort of take away from this is quite often esports, for those who aren't like entrenched in it, and by that I mean people that are like really within esports at whatever level, just spectators or something like that. This is a real insight into grassroots esports is what I would describe it as, right? So you're literally from pillar to post. This one doesn't work out, but you were promised this, and then this one works out, but it didn't happen here.
Yeah.
All of these sort of things, it's surprisingly common. And, you know, you get things like recently Eminem's manager, has been doing this talk show about this sort of stuff, really, which I think is really interesting. What was that like, all of this experience of just like, you sort of have one thing and then it gets taken away because esports is esports, and that, how was that for you?
I mean, it was meh. I mean, so the thing was like, the worst part was probably when I went through from helping Hansen at EU Masters to doing barely okay in second division in UK.
Yeah.
But basically that was just like had to take like one step backwards, like two forwards, you know? Like if I didn't have such like a shitty experience in the second division, which I mean, it wasn't great really.
Sure.
I don't think it definitely helped me when then I started coaching Barrage Retirement Home, because it wasn't like it was the first time I was a head coach. It was like I had like the 6 weeks of being a head coach already.
Yeah. All right. So let's talk about the retirement home then. So for those who aren't necessarily into UK esports or haven't seen a lot of it, most recently, as you said, your job was with Barrage and their team that was dubbed the retirement home. So talking about this experience, essentially Barrage put 2 teams into a tournament in order to hopefully get back into the UKLC. Now, you were head coach of the retirement home, whilst Torok was the head coach of the, I guess what was dubbed just the standard or the main team or whatever like that. It got to the final of the tournament, promotion or relegation, and both Barrage teams were in the final. So now let's see it from your perspective. That's like categorically what has happened. Those are the facts. What are your thoughts on this? How was the whole experience? Give us a background to what you were doing with your work there.
So, like I said, I got hired through me just texting me like, "Hey,"
through me as the manager of Barrage, just to put that.
Yeah. He was like, "I got time for a call," and I was like, "Yeah, sure thing." He was like, "Are you still with Radiant?" I went, "Nope." And then he went, "Oh well, before I look for any other coach, do you want to do this thing with a team I've already built?" And I was like, "I've got nothing better to do."
Yeah, for sure.
Like, sure. And then he said the players, and obviously the players are all like experienced and. You know, it was different to like the amateurs that I just coached. So I was like, yeah, sure, should be a fun experience. And then with them, so when we first like scrimmed, so we scrimmed much less than the actual Barrage team.
Yes, significantly so.
Yeah. It's just because like pretty much all of us, well, actually probably excluding me, they've all played like in esports already for like 3-4 years, you know. So they all have like different commitments. I think apart from Scoot and maybe Vero, I wouldn't say any of them want to do it like full time as a career. Like I'm pretty sure a lot of them won't be playing in the near future anyway. So like it was just like hey, why not? Let's help Barrage for them.
Sure.
So none of us were taking it really seriously, which I think is actually another advantage we had like over teams. Because like when we lost, for example, against Envision and got 2-0'd, like I was fuming, and then I like joined the team speak. Like I was ready to like tell them off for all the mistakes they did.
Yeah.
And they were all just like giggling, being like, "Oh," and I was just like, "What? This isn't funny. We're losing to just a worse team." But like, and then like we giggled for 10 minutes, spoke about what we did wrong, and then just like moved on, and obviously we ended up winning the tournament. So yeah, I feel like the mental advantage was much bigger. But yeah, so going back to that question itself. So yeah, we scrimmed less than the Barrage team, but every game we did
probably
play,
less than most teams in the tournament as well. This wasn't just like a Barrage thing. I wouldn't be surprised if Retirement Home were one of the teams that scrimmed the least, full stop, you know?
Yeah, I'd say so. Which is why, like, if you watched Forge of Champions, we pretty much only had like one style, which was to just play like Siege Poke comps where we picked like Zoe, Caitlyn, Nidalee.
Yeah.
Like, it was literally like a joke for us, basically. we first picked Caitlyn pretty much every single game. And then obviously when it came to the actual tournament, we were like, oh well, we probably want to have more than one team comp or one strategy to play, and that's when we like learned like a front to back comp, and then a comp that just revolves around picking Lee Sin and LeBlanc for Vero Scoot.
Yeah. So that was your sort of thinking for the Retirement Home then, was it? It was when Forge of Champions was around, we pick one strategy, which was that Siege Poke comp that you were talking about, and then as time progressed, you would start to build in new comps, new strategies that the players could sort of get to grips with and like slowly learn, right?
Yeah, I thought it was better to like make sure we have one comp nailed down than learn 3 like barely, you know?
Sure. And that was the plan.
Yeah, especially as obviously we didn't have much time to practice this, so we just had to deal with the one that, I mean, it won us the qualifier, so it couldn't have been that bad.
Yeah, for sure. And you touched on something that was really interesting there as well. This idea of not necessarily taking it like seriously, and I assume what you mean by that isn't necessarily that no one. It wasn't like no one didn't care. It was more like the way that it was perceived was more fun. We're enjoying ourselves.
Yeah.
Knuckle down, serious.
It was definitely not. No one was like, "Oh my god, this is our careers on the line." Maybe apart from me, but I feel like I was in my head. It was like the most serious. Like I was the most nervous. Definitely, I don't think they were nervous during the games at all. Like they were just like having fun. Like they're all friends, pretty much. They've all played on teams previously, so they were just all there to just enjoy themselves, pretty much.
Do their best, right?
And I was just learning from them, as well as just they were learning from me. But yeah, I thought it was a pretty good experience overall.
Amazing. And it kind of links into that like style that people talk a lot about G2 being this team that sort of mess about, don't necessarily, not that they don't take it seriously, but they're there, they're having fun, they're enjoying themselves above all, you know. Maybe you know, I've been coaching traditional sports for a while, and I've never seen anything fostered quite like G2 has, and maybe the retirement home as well. But maybe that is a step up. Maybe that sort of style.
I did used to think of us as like a really, really bad version of G2.
Yeah.
Especially because like I like with the whole like eco-friendly drafting label of like making myself. I like just picking like fun things that like have like a 30% chance of winning, but if they do, it's really fun. So like, we didn't get to show it in the tournament, but we played like 4 games of like full AP Malphite jungle. Yeah. And we got shit on every single time. Until Scoot just went to me, "I am not playing this." Like, all right, whatever. But so like we did try a lot of fun things and played a lot of fun things. Even like Jake was always labeled like a bad ADC realistically by like a lot of people. Like and pretty much people only said he can play Lucian, Caitlyn, blah blah blah. But like he was playing like high Medinka bot lane in scrims with us, and he played it in 1 game. Like in actual competition. I feel like everyone was like stepping out of their comfort zone and just playing fun things, and that
led to some success. So this eco-friendly drafting, explain this to people that haven't heard of this concept of yours before.
Well, basically, it's like a mask to just put. I'm not really good at drafting yet, and I've just got like this philosophy where I prefer to pick a lot of the champions for like the specific spells. So like you pick Malphite for his ult, right?
Sure.
And then I'll just try to like throw him somewhere in the comp.
Right.
Just like the Caitlyn, Nidalee, Zoe, like on paper it's just really easy, right? You just throw Nidalee Q, throw Zoe Q, and throw Caitlyn Q.
Yeah.
And you just auto attack towers. So like it's just things like that. And I'm also like really not scared to experiment with draft. So like I got a lot of backlash from like Twitch chat, and Orcs was saying it on stream because we let Pantheon open twice. 3 times actually. Yeah. Twice we got stomped. Once it worked. But then obviously the moment we get stomped, it's like, why would you do that? Because of course you can't just ban. Well, one time it was Scoot's fault. He misbanned, but it's alright. He banned Vigar by accident.
Oh dear. I didn't realise that.
Yeah, no one did.
Yeah,
everyone claimed me. Everyone said, "Wow, why would he ban Vigar here?" And I was like, "I don't know, Scoot. Why would I ban Vigar here?" But no, so yeah, it's just like for fun drafting basically.
Because you know, you said, and sorry to interrupt you there, that Hansen and the way that he sort of worked with you on DBL was something that it seemed quite pivotal, right? It seemed like a big step for you.
For sure.
Now, in most coaches' careers, there are these steps. There's this moment where it's like, you know, for me in tennis, I remember it vividly, learning certain things when it came to my coaching style, and then again at university and learning other things about coaching styles. But for you, what are some of the like big points in your career where you have learned a lot? You know, obviously influenced by coaches, players you've worked with, maybe even content that you've seen online, something like that.
Well, I'd say like 2 coaches that have like helped me the most and I've learned from the most would be Hansen, obviously, and then Mora.
Okay.
Mora because he's like, even though he's playing on like a really high level because he finished 3rd in Turkey this split as a head coach, he's like, whenever I talk to him, he's like, at a low level, just pick your players what they're comfortable on, and they're going to perform more than like specific like comps, because it's like it's not LCS level, it's a bunch of like Diamond 1 Master Tier players running around, right? So, like, would you rather put someone like, for example, like we were first picking Lee Sin for Scoot just because he's so much better. Like we could be
Sure.
picking like a better first pick, but there's like no point. Like every draft is like different realistically. Like you can't really on paper just flat out win a draft because everyone prioritizes different things. So that's like what Mora taught me, and then Hansen just taught me that. I mean, in the simplest of ways, everyone but him is really lazy, basically.
Yeah.
Like that man works so much.
Yeah.
In off season every day, and then so during this tournament, he was like coming to Discord to like talk and everything. And basically, I wish I could show you. I have like 18 messages from him telling me off because I mentioned something about being hungover halfway through the tournament. Oh my god, yeah. He was like shouting at me, telling me that like I just need to be more disciplined. That he would be angry if one of his players. So yeah, I'd say he's like, even though like everyone jokes about like me being Hansen Jr. blah blah blah, he is like quite like a dad figure when it comes to like coaching. Like, he's really hardworking. Yeah. And he's like, even though he like laughs all the time and stuff, he's still like very serious when it comes to it. Whereas like I sort of lack like the seriousness, the authority. Like it's something I'm still trying to like work on.
Yeah, well, I mean, one of the things that we were going to talk about is quite how like young you are doing this, right? So when you came into the retirement home, and we'll come back to talking a little bit more about Hansen and Mora in a second, but the retirement home were not only just experienced players, but I think all of them, maybe bar one, are actually older than you by age as well, right?
Yeah, I think all of them.
Yeah, I wasn't sure about Viral, but I assumed the rest were. But coaching people that are older than you and are more experienced than you is not an easy feat, right? So talk to me about what that sort of experience was like. Coaching older, more experienced players, actually in like what would be considered the inception of your career, really.
Well, so I turned 19 2 months ago. But even, I think that's like, going back to what I just said, I think that's why like I still lack like the whole authority and stuff. Because it's just like weird for me when I'm like 18, 19 to like almost like, obviously not literally shout at people, but like be serious and like tell like 20, 21 year olds like off, you know, especially ones that like played the game more than me and like on a basic level probably know more than me. Just I know different things, you know? So it's like, that's why whenever I'm like drafting or coaching, I mean, I've once again not going back to Hansen, but I did sort of copy a lot of this from him as well. But like when I'm, for example, doing like VOD reviews or something, I won't always be like, all right, this is what you should have done. I'll be like, so what do you guys think you should have done better? Right. And then it opens a discussion between like 6 people. So then we get like the correct answer that everyone agrees with, rather than me just being like, no, you're wrong, this is correct. Obviously, sometimes I do that because when something is obvious that it's correct, like you do that. But a lot of the time, I like to get everyone involved in it, even people that like might not know it, but just so they can try and help.
Sure. It's interesting as well because, you know, you keep saying not to come back to Hansen, not to do this, not to do that. But that is like, and there was a man called Richard that helped me massively when I was coaching tennis, and I still, from 7, 8 years ago, still use things that he has taught me. So this, I'm sure this will be something that continues on, and I wouldn't count it as copying. It's just like when it comes to coaching, you know, you sort of get this flip book of things that keep coming on, and you just add to your resume. And clearly that Hansen has had a massive impact on you. But you didn't necessarily struggle with coaching the people that were older than you, more experienced?
No. I mean, they definitely didn't like even make it hard. Like, they definitely showed me like respect, as because obviously I have like, considering my Twitter and stuff, a lot of like a meme personality to me, right? So sometimes like I'm scared that like, what if like people don't take me seriously when I'm like coaching people, because like we're all friends and blah blah blah. But nah, they all like showed respect as if I was like any other different coach.
That's really good.
Like listened and yeah, I mean, they just all interacted well, and no one like was annoying or anything.
Yeah, no, that's amazing. So jumping back to the sort of Hansen Mora, when we were talking about big points in your career that you've learned from. You said Hansen worked really, really hard and showed that everyone else was basically lazy comparative to him. What was that sort of work? What was he doing that, you know, really stood out to you, that was like, maybe it's something that you do now, I don't know, maybe you look at patch notes or something like that, and that's what he's taught you. But yeah, what was it that made him this like this powerhouse when it came to
Yeah.
workload and things like that.
I mean, he generally, there's like not a minute that he's not is not working on something esports wise. Like I could like bet any money that if I texted him right now, he'd be like, "Oh yeah, I'm just like working on my playbook," or like,
Yeah.
"Oh, I'm rewatching GT vs SKT for the 10th time." Like, for example, when I started like my assistant coach job at DBL, quote unquote, so I was registered as a substitute, and it was just like near the end of the regular season, I transitioned into it because I wanted to get involved more. It was like how do I explain it? So I was like, all right, so just give me some tasks and then I can do them in this week, right? And it was like, all right, watch like these 3 best of 5s against like SK Prime. It was because it was for E-Masters. So it was like, watch these games against SK Prime, watch these games against like Mad Lions and then Misfits, because that's who like was in the playing stage.
Yeah.
So he basically gave me like a week to do like a lot, and I was just like, wow, okay.
Yeah.
But to him, it was like he even like wrote, "Oh, and I'll give you some extra when I think of it," and I was like, pardon? Some extra? But yeah, so like that quickly made me realize like I'm not going to be fucking about. Like if I want to be an assistant coach, he's going to treat me like that. He's not going to treat me as like someone that's like, oh, just wants to like put their name down to something.
Yeah.
Like if I want to like qualify myself for any of like DBL's achievements, it was making me work for it.
So he would, I presume that was stuff that he wanted you to do specifically. As you say, it was for EU Masters, so this is like prep work for the team. So he kind of like threw you straight in the deep end then. He wasn't messing around either.
No, not at all. We literally had like one call where I was like just telling him, yeah, I'd like to do this. And he was like, yeah, fine. He'll think of some tasks. Then like 2 days later, he just like messaged me and like just told me to do all this SK Prime stuff. And then I had to watch like 3 best of 5s and then write down. And then after that, he gave me like loads of like criticism on how to like lay it out better, the feedback, this, and that.
Wow.
So like, you know what? Yeah.
So huge learning curve then, because I presume that's something like now that you watch your best of 5, you now have the ability to sort of pop on the Hansen glasses and see exactly what he would.
Sure.
Do you know what I mean?
And if I'm like coaching, well, if hopefully coaching next season, I'm like when I give feedback back to my team or to a head coach or assistant coach or whatever, I know like what to do. Like for example, in Radiant, I had this guy called Korean something, right? Oh, that's really bad. I don't know his name, isn't it? Standard Korean.
There you go.
And so like I was telling him things that like Hansen was telling me to do, you know?
Sure.
And then he was doing them, and I was like, oh, this is helpful.
Right. Now you can delegate. Yeah.
Yeah. So
amazing.
Whichever, if I'm head coach or assistant coach, I get to like use what he taught me pretty much.
Amazing. So one thing, in my opinion, now you've spoken about the sort of learnings that you've had from Hansen. In my opinion, from a coach's point of view especially, but just generally from a human point of view, people should be looking to continuously improve themselves. Now, if that's reading more books or whatever, and however they decide to do it. I'm interested, what are you looking to do to sort of improve yourself and keep growing as Kiao the coach, not just the human, you know?
Yeah. Well, one thing I want to do for myself before I join the team next split or in the winter season or whatever I decide to do is like actually start working on like a playbook myself.
Okay.
Like Hansen has.
Yeah. Not to bring it back to Hansen. Yeah.
Because like that's something that whenever like he was using seemed really helpful, because it's when someone's like, oh, so what should we be doing here? He's like, well, go to, you know, like the 3rd section on counter jungling from behind, blah blah blah.
Okay.
Like, and then they can just read it themselves, and I don't have to like repeat myself constantly. Plus, I get to like just like nail it in their heads.
Sure. What
they should be doing.
Because there's this a very, very, very famous sort of coaching ideology, mantra, however you want to describe it, that basically says if you tell someone what to do, you're going to end up telling them to do that 10 more times. Whereas if you coach them on what to do, give them the resources, help them understand it, you tell them once. You know, and it's that idea where it's like, this is what you've got to do, this is how you're going to do it, go ahead and do it, rather than just be like, do this, go away. You know?
Exactly.
It probably comes from that. But I've actually, from a esports point of view, this is the first time I've heard of a playbook. Now, I presume it's similar to what would be a traditional sports playbook.
Yeah.
Why don't you break that down for people who have never heard of a playbook before?
Well, I also before Hansen didn't know coaches have this, so I don't know if this is just like
Mm,
a good coach thing or
sure.
if every coach has that. Literally have no idea.
Mm,
But I mean, in there he had like literally from like the basics to like different team comps. So like for example in EU Masters we played um a team comp which was called like Zoom Zoom and it was like Hecarim So Nataric back then.
okay.
And it was like explained when we should pick it, the priority picks, um, like the strengths of it, the weaknesses, when should we fight. So like it was just really easy for like DBL back then to I think play because they just had to basically execute instructions.
Yeah.
Like it was literally like read this, read this, read this, and then just go and do it.
Oh, amazing. Okay. So it was literally an like a manual in a way,
Yeah,
where you do
it
A, then
really
you would do
was.
B, then you would do C.
Yeah,
Amazing. So that's something that you're looking to develop in the sort of off season
yeah,
coming
yeah.
into the.
Indeed, I
Amazing.
want to start on something like that myself, and then
Interesting.
just work on it throughout my career.
Wow, that seems like a really sort of vital piece of content for coaches to have then, right?
Hmm. I
As I
just assume
say,
so.
first thing I've heard of it as well. So good
Yeah.
news is good news all around. But obviously you've spoken a little bit there about what you're looking to do off season. Maybe you're thinking teams in the winter split coming into the next split for maybe UK sort of leagues and things like that. But generally speaking, what are you looking to do? What are you looking for in this sort of upcoming split? Assistant coach, player,
Hmm.
substitute, head coach? What are you after?
Well, I'm definitely not playing again,
Okay.
just because I think solo queue is a horrible environment,
Yeah,
and
incorrect.
you don't realize how bad it is until like you like escape from it almost. Like I used to play at least like 12 games a day back when I wanted to be a
Wow.
player, right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And I never realized how bad it's actually affects your like mental health until you like stop playing it. And now like I play occasionally, and I'm just like,
Why am I playing?
why did I do this to
Yeah,
myself?
yeah, yeah, for sure, for sure.
Like I really spent 3 years of my life just doing this constantly.
Mm,
Like wow.
yeah.
So I blame my mental health completely on solo queue. Um, but yeah, in terms of coaching, I definitely want to coach next season. The only issue is with the fact that I'm at university,
Mm,
and of course I'm paying rent, blah blah blah. Unless it's basically enough money that means I can quit my part-time job as a head. Well, no, let me run this back.
sure, sure, sure.
I'd love to be a head coach, but
Hmm.
I'm pretty much only going to be able to take offers which pay my rent.
Sure. Hmm.
So that's not like an ego thing
No, no,
because I
of
know like
course.
no, because I know especially when it comes to like actually when I'm going to be speaking with organizations, a lot of them are going to assume it's probably an ego thing,
Yeah.
but it's not. It's just if I'm working 6 times a week, I don't and have university, I won't be able to have time to have a part-time job. So I need something to pay for this room.
Yes. Yeah, 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 for sure.
And then if I don't get an offer like that, which is very possible as I am still like new to my career, like my CV is not too big.
Hmm.
If not, then I'm gonna still look to assistant coach. But then once again, I don't. I guess now this sounds like an ego thing, but I don't respect a lot of the coaches.
Sure. No, no,
I
I
think
know where you're coming
I
from.
think a lot of them just do draft and they do that poorly, and they don't actually like put in the work like behind the scenes,
Hmm.
or they just like scrim, then give 10-minute feedback after a scrim, and then just go off. They don't do like one-on-one sessions. They don't do like, all right, let's just bring the bot lane in after this scrim and talk to them about it. Like, yeah, I feel like coaches are extremely lazy.
Hmm.
So I would only do assistant coach for like a good coach.
Yeah.
So I'd like want to like see them in a few scrims, and
Hmm.
then I'd be fine to be an assistant coach because I
Yeah.
don't have like a big issue with being an assistant coach. It's
By
just
nature, sure.
yeah, it's just I'd actually like it to be beneficial and not just
Of
like
course, of course. And I think again, this is like another real insight into sort of what I guess the right terminology is grassroots esports, but maybe it's not. It is another really good insight into grassroots of esports because we see people who quite often might not know how to coach, just as a concept. They don't really know coaching. They might not know an awful lot about the game and maybe aren't properly qualified to be in the position that they're in, or they're just sort of cashing a check. And you get this in all walks of life, right? But it would appear that this is something that does go on in esports as well. So I don't think it's an ego thing to want to work with someone that's going to improve you as well. You know? I don't think that at all. I think that idea of constantly learning and developing yourself that's not ego. That's just a normal good thing to do. So I wouldn't worry too much about that, dude. Okay, interesting. So essentially, you'd be after assistant roles, or if there was a job that could pay your rent, that would be somewhere you would look at too. Amazing. So that was pretty much all of the questions that I had to talk about. There's one more that's the standard question that we have at the end of every podcast here. And the question is this: what is one thing that you can teach me or the viewers from your world? Now, to give you a bit of a backstory to this, and it sort of gives you some time to think as well. People have come on and they've given us, tips on language, for example. So I've learned Polish, book recommendations, favorite quotes, things that you can do at home that's going to impact your solo queue. Maybe it's a little coaching tip, like in this matchup, if you do this, maybe try this new jungle path, something like that. We've had loads of different stuff. So literally anything. It doesn't even need to be League of Legends related. So shoot from the hip if you've got anything.
Well, I guess it's some life advice. I'd say no matter what it is you want to do, just do it, Like when I want to do articles, I'll write articles and then post them on Twitter. And if they get 10 views or 100 views, or if they get, one comment, then fair enough. If they get 10 comments, 10 likes, then that's even better, But it's I do the articles. I do music sometimes when I just feel like it. And a lot of people definitely behind the scenes probably find it, cringe or whatever, or blah blah blah. But it's just if it's fun for me and I like doing it, why wouldn't I want to do it?
Yeah, for sure.
I wanted to do league because everyone was like, "Oh, you can't do esports," So it's well, I'm gonna try my best to do esports. Matter of fact, at university, I do an esports course.
Really?
Yeah, the first one in the UK.
Oh my gosh. Okay, we're going to have to rewind that. We missed this. Okay, pause the thought. Esports course university. Amazing. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
I didn't even realise.
It's the first one in UK, actually, in Staffordshire University.
Amazing. I saw something advertised about that. How is that as a course for you?
Oh, you probably saw the advertisement for their campus in London that they're opening. Was it a dark blue? Yeah. Because we were asked to give feedback so they can improve it for there as well.
Oh.
I mean, it's just a standard business course with a esports side to it.
Yeah.
We do the fun stuff as well, which is obviously casting and all this and that.
Oh, really?
But a lot of it is just learning about how to make money, where esports makes money from. You get to find out how many UK orgs basically lose money.
Yeah.
I really don't think there's a lot of orgs that actually make money in the UK, but
sad truth. Yeah.
Especially in League of Legends. COD and FIFA have it all right, because this is just speaking UK, not in general. In UK, COD and FIFA players and orgs have it all right. Fortnite's decent too. League's because of a lot of things that we could talk about for 2 years. But, but a lot of it was actually spoken about with how you were saying, Eminem's manager. So a lot of the problems with UK, so I'm not going to go into that.
Sure.
Even though Alex didn't invite me.
No hard feelings.
All right. Yeah, I'm on a better podcast now anyway.
Well, I appreciate it.
So there's a lot of issues with that. But no, it's a good course. I was expecting it to maybe be a little bit easier, which is stupid of me. And then I'd say the biggest mistake people make is the same mistake people made with games design courses. If you go do esports, you're not going to be playing video games.
Yeah.
Same with because I did games design in college. Everyone there's 10 people that left within the first 2 weeks. It's not playing video games, it's coding and doing this and this and this. So it's not just an esports course where you're going to everyone wants to be a player. There's people that are managers there, social media managers. Clicks, I've never spoken to him, but I just know this. He was Enclaves and Clicks social media manager, goes to my esports class.
Oh, amazing. Okay. So it,
But it's
it,
in
it
like
really,
a different group.
you really learn about sort of esports then? Are the lecturers entrenched in esports somehow?
Yeah. So, for example, I think the one that's the most into esports is her name is Yingying Luo, and she used to be an ex-Hearthstone player for Dignitas,
Wow.
which is pretty cool.
Yeah.
Then our head of esports isn't esports based, but he's been doing like business for
Hmm.
like 30 years. So he's my favorite.
Yeah.
Um, then we have someone now that played. He won like an Insomnia in like I-51 or something with Choke Gaming. So that's like a big throwback. Like that's like
Okay.
4 or 5 years ago.
Yeah, yeah.
Um, he's new. I've missed 3 of his lectures out of 4 so far. So
Not a good start then.
no, just it's been really unfortunate actually. Because it's just been a bit unlucky. And then who else do we have? I feel like I missed someone. Yeah, and then we have other teachers as well, but it's different groups have different teachers basically.
Yeah. So it's a useful course because, a lot of people think like, for example, I do a sports course at uni. And
What? Sorry, yeah.
I do a sports course at uni, and
Oh,
one of the
yeah.
big sort of pushbacks against that is like, oh great, but you're not really going to get into sports, are you, mate? And it's like,
Yeah.
well, I mean, maybe. So I can see one of the arguments against sort of the esports courses being like, well, you're just learning about esports, you're not doing esports. Is that something that
Yeah.
you would sort of agree with, or?
I think most courses like mine, yours, arts, dance, music,
Yeah.
they all are pretty much they give you like sort of like let's say a ladder, but
Yeah.
then you still need to find where to put this ladder and go on
Sure.
top of it. Like
Hmm.
they will teach me about a lot about esports, but they're not gonna if I don't do anything in between my like classes and like try to do like volunteer maybe and insomnia or blah blah blah, like work with different orgs or coaching for example,
Mhm.
obviously that gives me already some sort of head start. Like if you don't do that, then I'm just gonna finish the course with a grade and that's it, you know.
Yeah.
Like you have to be doing something with uni, and I think that's in between the uni, and I
Mhm.
think that's with every course, which is like I said, like sports, dance, music, anything that's like arts basically.
Mhm.
You have to be doing things in between. You can't
Yeah.
just
No, I
like you're
agree.
not gonna finish a music course and be an artist, you know. You're not gonna finish your sports course and then be like a prem coach or
Yeah.
something.
Of course.
You
Of
know,
course.
like everyone needs to be doing things in between.
Absolutely. Absolutely, 100% agree. But we went off track there. So going back to the last question, you were essentially saying that if there's something you enjoy doing, if there's something you want to do, just go out and do it. Start
Yeah.
executing. Get on that, on the hype. Get on to
Yeah.
doing that.
Yeah, just start it because there's a lot of it's like, I'd like to do this, but it's just like I was explaining to like my little brother. He's always like, "Oh, I really want to be playing football."
Mm.
And I'm just like, "Well, go and play football." He's like,
Sure.
"Oh, but I don't have shin pads and boots and this." I'm like, "There's a park down, like literally down our road.
Mhm.
I just go down and start playing football, and then like if you play it for like some months, I'm sure your mum will buy you boots or something. You know, like
Yeah.
it's just like if you want to do something, just go out and do it. Like it's really not hard. Like, of course, there's certain things that are harder than just going downstairs and playing football, but you can start anywhere. Like, when I made like my first song,
Mhm.
it was literally I just spent £80 on this microphone
Yeah.
and then just like made it, and it gets memed out at uni, but like all like loads of people like play it at their pre's and stuff as a joke, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Because the quality of it's just so shit.
Yeah. Yeah.
It like almost makes it good.
Mhm. Mhm.
But yeah, and it's just like you never know what's gonna happen from it, you know. But it's like you have to start somewhere. Like people need to get like away from the fact that like they're gonna start something and it's gonna be like big instantly.
Yeah.
Like for example, who was your first guest ever on the podcast?
My first guest ever was Daruk Hachoglu.
Yeah, I know.
I don't know if you've heard of him, but yeah,
Mhm.
he was my first.
So you see
ever
how
guest.
like he's close to UK, and you probably like knew someone that knew him or something like that,
Something
right?
like that, yeah.
Yeah. Whereas like I saw your last podcast was like Schalke's analyst, blah blah blah.
Yeah.
So like you won't just be like, all right, I'm gonna start a podcast. Let me invite Dylan Falco or something.
Sure.
You know,
Sure.
like you have to start somewhere.
Of
But I feel
course.
like people don't want the first like 2, 3, 4, 5 years of grinding. They just want like the success instantly, which just doesn't happen.
Mm-hmm.
So if you want to do something and you enjoy it, just gotta do it. If you fail, then fail. And you can work a 9 to 5 in Tesco, and that's not bad too.
Amazing. Well, look, that was a brilliant answer. So thank you very much for your time again. If people wanted to find out more about you, maybe there's a team that wanted to get in contact with you for your services, something like that, where's the best place to sort of find you out there?
Yeah, I'd say the best place is Twitter DMs.
Mm-hmm.
I've got Twitter DMs open, and I will be hopefully making an LFT tweet within a week, or I'd say within a week of this being uploaded.
Yeah.
And then I might put out my email as well. I'm not too sure yet. Not sure how professional to be.
Sure, no worries. Well, if you want to find Kiao, if you want to find his Twitter information, and maybe he wants to his email, that'll all be in the description of the podcast below. Again, I want to say thank you so much for your time. It's been a really interesting one.
Thank you.
And I hope people that are watching it have also found some interest in it. If you have, let us know at League Talk Show on Twitter, and find at Kiao. I think that's it, right? Literally.
Kiao EU.
Kiao EU. Perfect.
Some guy's taken Kiao from like 6 years ago.
Unbelievable. Well, I hope you guys have enjoyed the episode, and we will see you on the next one.